Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the European Road to BlizzCon here for Heroes of the Storm, as we've had our first two series conclude for today, and now we move on to the winners match of Group A. And oh boy, I mean, so far, Group A has been fantastic with the teams that we have here, and now we move on to Navi versus Team Dignitas.
Yeah, it's going to be a really close series, most probably. Most teams that I've spoken to have touted Navi to be the #1 favorite of this group. Ironically, not Team Dignitas, formerly known as BOB ? Or Team Liquid, who have kind of had the reputation of being Europe's best right now. So it's Navi, not a dark horse for sure, but secretly turning out to be maybe the #1 favorite.
Yeah, they are looking good. I mean, for a long time now, Navi have always looked good. I mean, in the European scene. Of course, there are moments where, if you look back to a DreamHack result where they took a second place against Team Liquid, that was, I mean, you may as well call it Team Liquid hack at this point. They don't really lose DreamHacks at all. But at the moment, Team Liquid does not look indestructible. Navi is looking still on point, still as consistent as ever. But this team on screen right now, Team Dignitas, is just, they're soaring on a different level.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool. We got to hang out and talk a little bit with them yesterday, Team Dignitas. Ethereal Angel, a really new acquisition to the team with little experience, just a few months on his belt in Heroes of the Storm, often favoring picks like Tyrael, Chen, and ETC. And we've already seen that Tyrael pick. I'm crossing my fingers for a Chen.
Yeah, it may come out. It definitely may. Here with, as we can see, Navi going up against them. A team that, as we said, is very, very consistent. And they do have their own little niche picks themselves. That's for sure. Hi, doggy.
That's not a playable hero, is it?
I think that's Misha.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I don't know if we'll be seeing too much Rexar. We did see a little bit of her during the American Championships, of course, but and maybe some of the teams have been experimenting with her here and there. But look how excited Athero looks here as he's getting ready for this match.
It's the face of extreme focus and deadly preparation, and it's all internal. There's storms surging underneath there, and it's good not to peak too early in all respects with the focus and concentration and adrenaline of the match. Players looking calm now, maybe even restful, maybe even almost looking like they're sleeping, is not a sign that they're not ready and psyched up for this match. And I mean that. One of my big adversaries in Warcraft 3 solo competition many years ago always looked like he was sleeping right before the match. We'll be ready, the crowd will be cheering, and we're standing on opposite sides behind the stage, and his head was hanging.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's just a way to... Yeah, everyone has different ways of prep.
He was luring you into a false sense of security, basically.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, springs into action. You're like, oh, he's awake.
Oh, Cobra.
But no, for sure, these two teams looking at things, I mean, when we were speaking to Dignitas yesterday, they seemed pretty darn confident about advancing out of the group, right?
Yeah.
That's for sure. And then on the other side, with Navi, didn't get as much chance to speak to them, but they certainly exude an air of confidence about them. They know
kind of
that
swagger. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And that's in the end ultimately what's important. You can do all the practice you like online and do as much communication and scrims and everything as possible. But what really matters is when you get to this event is that you feel emotionally that you can rely on each other, that you will have each other's back, that if it goes poorly, you will rally rather than blame, that the sum of all your mindsets together will produce greater results than even you would have done online. Just because you see each other, the human connection is there, and everyone soars above their usual playing level and gains a new level.
And, you know, when it comes to how things go in the drafts between these two teams, we saw, you know, that both teams have probably had a little bit of inkling as to how the other team is going to draft, how they're all going to play as they browse the most important part of the Heroes of the Storm community.
Yeah, two of the three most important ones, Twitter, Reddit, Heroes of the Storm, and then, of course, Twitch chat itself.
Oh, yes,
These three are the windows to the soul of all the happy and enthusiastic people watching at home, so they want to know what's going on. Not sure if it's smart to fill your head with that before the game, but that's my opinion. Many players have often looked upon those as a way to relax, because it might be part of their day-to-day routine at home. And you get to a tournament, there's lots of new impulses and distractions. And if you can recreate a little bit of an igloo here at this event, like section yourself off from the weird and just recreate at home, maybe even take your shoes off, hell, be crazy. You can actually be more comfortable and play more to the practice that you've done.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, how did you kind of, well, looking at Bakery now on screen, how did you, when you were interviewing him before, in his answers, did he kind of seem confident as well there? Does he look all right to you at the moment?
Not tense. It felt very happy-go-lucky. There was a point where it looked like they were going to suffer a lot of damage.
Yes.
And where, for all intents and purposes, it looked like there'll be 2 takedowns on the side of their team, where Team Liquid could take out Uther and I believe it was Rainer. But Uther survived, and he's like, yeah, comfortably happy about that. Of course, the end result was there for all to witness, and they managed to drag out a victory, but they had their plans. They followed their plans. Sometimes it didn't go as planned, but it didn't seem to faze him all too much. So it seemed very relaxed. And being relaxed and being able to smile is one of the most important signs that a team will perform well.
Yeah. I think what's also important here going into this series specifically is that this could potentially be a kind of pre-chapter to the entire championship. With these two teams standing at the positions that they're at right now, with Dignitas being able to beat Team Liquid as they did in that previous series, and now Navi going up against Dignitas. One of these two could easily be the champion. So who is going to take this first series here and move on in first place, all importantly? Because if you finish in first place today in your group, you go up against a second place finisher in the semis tomorrow.
All right, but no kind of bracket advantage or anything like that. Just the implied advantage that a first place team is probably stronger than a second place team. Plus, you have to show fewer of your games.
That's true. That is true. And
so you win now, that's it. You've played 2 best of 3s, but if you lose, you have to win 2 more in addition to the first match that you've played to actually make it to the final place. So more draft reveal, more heroes picked, more strategy shown.
All right, well, we are going to be getting into the draft here in just a moment for our first game in this best of 3, and it's actually going to be Blackheart's Bay of all maps to open things up in this best of 3. So let's jump in, and already we see an Abathur being banned out for Team Dignitas, and then on the other side, it's going to be Zeratul banned out.
Yeah, few players in the solo and double queue experience, you people probably at home who are watching are excited about an Abathur pick in first pick on Blackheart Bay in their team. But there's the pro scene and then there's the general scene.
Yes.
Even if you try hard, we refer to it lovingly as the casual scene. Abathur is actually almost all-powerful in Blackheart Bay. He's got the mule to repair the cannon shots. Blackheart Bay is a very long and drawn-out map. What I mean, distance-wise, geographically it's long. It's hard to get to the top or the bottom lane sometimes. So removing him removes a very big pressure of potential Merc pushes. And Zeratul, why would he be removed?
Well, yeah, he always has that void prison. He is a very, very scary individual. But one thing that I want to move on from very quickly is the first pickup of Dignitas, taking Muradin against a team that is so well known for Muradin, Tyrande, that kind of composition. I think it's a great pickup for Dignitas.
Yeah, it's Muradin is one of the 2 top picks for Navi, alongside Malfurion.
Yeah.
So this is purely taking someone else's candy.
Basically.
It's not you wanted to eat it. You don't even like it that much. But you don't want them to have it. And that's a pretty powerful message that they're playing a game of draft disruption here. Because normally it's all Uther, Jaina, Leoric, Johanna first. And not Muradin. And we see, well, you got Muradin. Okay, we'll take 2 really good heroes in Uther and Leoric.
And the thing is that Uther can still, in essence, go down the path of still having, you know, some good stun compositions revolved around him here with Navi taking that. I think Navi doesn't mind the idea of Team Dignitas eventually taking Karazim because they're just expecting that at this point. And they're going to have Johanna on the other side, so it's warrior battles abound at the moment.
Yeah, Muradin, Johanna. Normally I would say Sonya would be a great pick to go along with it, but you lack that Uther, so that could be a little bit risky. So they're going to go with a ranged damage dealer in Kael'thas. And now it's going to be time for the second ban. The question Navi has to answer, what is Team Dignitas crafting?
I'm willing to bet money on the fact that Dignitas would probably go for a second ban on Tyrande. Even though they've taken Muradin away, I think they still don't want to deal with it from Navi.
Already we've got triple stun. If you count heroics, you can add Muradin stuns, Johanna's stun. So many stuns. You add Tyrande, it becomes utterly lethal. So I agree with you that it's possible, but we still can't look into their minds.
Oh, no, of course.
I also think Tyrande removal would be great, because great reveal information with the Sentinel on such a big map.
Yeah, it's so important. It's very useful with even the Sentinel having Pierce to be able to deny some of those turn-ins from Blackheart in the middle as well. But for now, we're just waiting on Navi to pick it up. Regardless of which coin that fell on the side of, no puns intended, that could be very, very powerful a pick. But Navi is... They could ban Karazim. Now that I look at this, they could ban Karazim and really limit Bakery.
That's true. It's one that fits them the most. It would be removing a comfort pick. So maybe that's what they're deciding between. Do we counter Dignitas, or do we counter the hero composition that we see? Or something else entirely?
Well, they're running down the time pool quite heavily here.
That leaves them very little time for future picks as well.
Oh, over to Tyrael. So anticipating a triple warrior lineup out of Dignitas.
Could have been Tyrael and Karazim finally, which would give 3 very strong frontliners, and Karazim can Divine Palm save Kel'Thas. Karazim is excellent for heroes that can kind of take care of themselves, but need occasional topping off. So triple warrior Karazim would be very powerful. They removed that.
And that's the thing about a triple warrior comp, if you're going up against it. The one big damage dealer that you want behind that is Kel'Thas, because he will still power out a lot of damage whilst you're trying to keep a good barrier around him of warriors to make sure he's going to stay alive and never really be threatened. So it's
I still think you can find alternatives for Tyrael, like Anubarak, which are relatively comparable. Anubarak, Sonya. So I don't think it's the most powerful removal, but they may know something that we do not.
And dun. Oh, Kerrigan. Okay, so scared of the combo of Uther and Kerrigan really helping on out. And even combos with Leoric very well, being able to slow down targets with the skeletal swing and then getting that combo down can be powerful.
Yeah, plus melee assassins are always go up in value for the team that already has Uther. So they just don't want to have to deal with Maelstrom, 3-second invulnerability, Kerrigan just destroying everyone.
Ooh.
Wow. Going for that global presence.
Yeah.
With Falstad.
It's very cool. It's cool to see, especially early on in the draft.
Super surprised about this. It's probably not going to be that Team Dignitas wanted Falstad. Probably. I think so anyway. So that means that they're not picking Falstad because they need to now, because it's contested, but because they want to hide their final pick. Yeah,
that's definitely true. Could very well play waves on this, and there's going to be a Anubarak to follow up here. So still kind of abiding to that 2-warrior setup that you would normally see here in the European scene. Not really wanting to go for something like an Arthas, which, is more survivable, but so much disruption can come out from Anubarak, which is the great thing. So many knockups, the Impale, the Burrow Charge, and then if you get Rewind later on, fun times.
Yeah, exactly. If they get there, so... No characters on either side yet who have Mule. Mule is a great talent to have on Blackheart's Bay, but you see it less in competitive matches sometimes. Instead, focusing on pure raw power to get early game advantage, mid game advantage, and ride that momentum to teamfight victories.
Yeah.
Now, Dignitas needs a healer. Will we see Karazim?
Yes, we will. It's a foregone conclusion at this point when it comes to Bakery, pretty much. And he plays it so well. I said it in the previous series. You know, he is the best Karazim in Europe right now, and you cannot take that lightly in any way, shape, or form. My personal preference could have been banning Karazim against him, but that's not what Navi has done, and got to respect them for it, because they're damn sight better at this game than I am.
Taronda now.
Oh, I love that they took that away. I really felt like Navi's... Whoa, well... Nice. Yeah, that comes back to your Uther statement about Divine Shield.
That's one of the reasons why Uther is so good. It gives you the option of Illidan, Kerrigan, and Thrall, potentially, although Thrall is the lowest impact one. So, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, this is exciting, because those last few came in rapid fire, and there's so much to talk about. You know, we already have gone over Karazim in our previous series. Bakery's great at him. Tyrande could have been a denial, but it's still very good with the stuns that Dignitas has, and if you're able to orchestrate that well, we've seen it in other scenes, very, very powerful, especially the NA scene. Really likes their Tyrande. Then Butcher technically is also another big NA player, actually, now that I think about it.
So, the key point here is going to be, can Karazim get his Divine Palm off in time to protect against the huge burst of a potential Hinterland's Blast? I don't think we're going to see Mighty Gust there. Hinterland Blast and Butcher whacking away with Divine Shield on him. Or is Navi's Butcher going to be able to rein in his Bloodlust at the right time?
That's the thing. That's the really interesting thing about Navi's lineup is that, yes, they took away Tyrael from their opponent's lineup and stuff like that, but all in all, that could have been a ban on Tyrael to make sure that they don't get sanctification over anything else. Because Navi's build at the moment looks to be going down the old school, we're going to blow you up instantaneously with this combination.
Yeah.
So it's very, very scary. Everything follows up. You know, you're actually able to lock someone down. You get that Hinterlands Blast. Butcher charges in. He's blowing someone up with a Furnace, potentially. And then even a Nubrak follows in as well.
Yeah, that's true. Furnace Blast and Hinterlands Blast are able to spread out a lot of the damage.
Yeah.
Which so it's not only up to like try to kill a single target, right? Like if they didn't have the area of effect abilities, the heroics, that would be too easy for Kharazim to prevent. So.
And here is Team Navi, as at the moment, 16 wins.
No Muradin on their comp.
No. Malf has kind of fallen off a little bit more in the European scene, that's for sure. I mean, of course, we have been casting a lot of people like Team Dignitas who've been going Kharazim, etc.
Yeah, but they're the trendsetters. So.
Yeah. Mal's not as popular. We do see him from time to time, obviously, but if you can get yourself an Uther here in this kind of matchup, I'd be going for the Uther. He is pretty good at the moment with his Divine Shield, as well as all his utility around. He has so many buttons that you could potentially be pressing and saving a lot of people.
Yeah, it's funny because Uther is actually a relatively easy hero to play in the beginning. He's a real recommendation for new players to provide a lot of value for the team, even though they may be new to Heroes of the Storm. Uther and Lily can really recommend them as healers. But when you go to the pro build with all the activatable abilities like Protective Shield, Cleanse, and the level 16 Benediction, Shrink Ray, suddenly it becomes really difficult to use to its fullest potential. Now here, Team Dignitas, recently acquired by Team Dignitas. A good pickup considering they're in the winner's match here of Group A.
Yes.
Their most picked heroes, Uther and Tyrael, they don't have them either. And that also explains a bit the Navi ban of Tyrael.
Yeah.
They're very fond of it.
Yeah, it's powerful on a map like this in Arthuro's hands. I mean, not only because, we could have seen the Sanctification coming out from him to kind of ward off what Navi's game plan was, but also because of Holy Ground at level 16. With a map that has a boss on it, you don't really want to be going up against that against Arthuro because he will steal. He will steal, and you've got to be careful of it.
Yeah, and also there are not too many places on Blackheart Bay, but there are some where there are allies, and if you use Holy Ground, it will lead to guaranteed kills.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Force Wall on a melee hero, which is usable more often than Tassadar's Force Wall. Quite a powerful talent for basic ability. And it leads to a lot of creativity in your playstyle.
It does. So, I mean, looking at these two compositions here, Mr. Grubby, who are you kind of giving sway to here? I asked Todd every single time, and now you have become Todd. I'm sorry. So I have to ask you as well.
Let's see. I like Team Dignitas' composition a little bit more. I feel like they have the tools to shut down Navi's all-in. But as I said, it's going to be down to milliseconds whether Kharazim can counter the intense burst that Butcher and Falstad and Anubarak even can provide. So there's a huge responsibility on Kharazim. Like Muradin, he will do his talent, so will Johanna, but Kharazim.
You know what's actually even more noticeable now that I look at the lineups a bit more in depth is that there's the potential that Navi could go for that huge burst composition, but then you use Anubarak to web wrap Kharazim. And then all hell breaks loose, quite literally with the Butcher.
So then it becomes up to Muradin and Johanna to keep Anubarak far enough away because the range on Cocoon isn't infinite.
Indeed.
And then Kharazim has to make sure not to try and get too many basic attacks in and kind of stay to the back because basic attacks aren't as important for him as actually being there to save his allies. Now, one thing we can look out for is the use of Falstad. We don't see him that much. He's trending a little bit more in Europe right now. And what he can do is he can push alongside with minion waves and merc camps and force an opponent to respond to it and kind of go one-to-one, for example, in top lane. And then the Butcher is setting up a trap somewhere in the middle around the Pirate or the bottom lane. Falstad suddenly flies over and you have a moment of 5 versus 4. Those kind of explosive rotations are what you can expect from Team Navi. And it's going to be up to, can they do that well? If they can, they're going to always have unfair fights in their advantage.
I get you.
That's what they're hoping to get.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have probably been watching, the subreddit recently, and they've seen all these medevac plays from the medic. Falstad's like mini medevac, basically.
Yeah.
He'll be able to help out in those fights and get to good locations at the right times. That's for sure. But just even the soaking potential that it provides you later on in a game, to be able to just be in a lane, soak, okay, I need to be in the fight, being able to help out, it's very, very powerful. You're totally right, and you're on the money there, Grubby.
Now, when we look at the fights, Kalaris, the fights have to be won for Na'Vi in a space of 3 to 8 seconds. During that time, they need to make use of Divine Shield, burst someone down, bring Falstad and surprise the opponent. But if the fights go over 10 seconds, and nothing much has happened yet, Team Dignitas is quickly going to pull ahead with both Chain Bomb, with the disruption that they have from their warriors, and the staying power that Kharazim offers. So look for that to see whether the explosive action can happen for Na'Vi.
All right, well, let's get into it then. It will be game number 1. This is the winners match. The winners will move on to the semi-finals tomorrow, which will be best of 5s, of course. And they'll be guaranteeing themselves a whole lot more prize pool if they're able to take this victory right here, right now. Let's load up onto Blackheart's Bay as we have spawning. To the left-hand side, it will be Team Dignitas once again with ADRD on Tyrande, Snitch on Kael'thas, Bakery going to be playing Kharazim, Zarmani on Johanna, and finally Athero will be on Muradin, on Candy Muradin of all. And then on the right-hand side, we have Falstad flying on forwards with Ethernal, grabbing that watchtower quick. Shrimpy on an Uberak, Alex the Pro-G on Leoric, Splendor on Uther. And finally, down towards the bottom, it's JPL on the Butcher.
Yeah, interesting that the Butcher does the solo lane. Like, sure, he's a great ganking hero, but that only counts when you're surprising the opponent. These cats are too experienced to actually fall for easy ganks by Butcher. So you need to understand that Butcher thrives off of unfair advantages.
Yes.
So there's no point putting him in a 4-4 lane, much like there's no point to put Illidan in a 4v4 lane or Zeratul. They want that unfair advantage, and that's why he's just keeping a low profile there at the bottom lane.
One thing that's going to be a little bit difficult against him is if he times out a bad engagement against Bakery, Bakery will just Radiant dash away, and then he'll be okay. So it's going to be important to try and equalize that out. The Ethernal already down towards this chest here, grabbing this whilst Bakery is distracted by JPL. That's a nice little pickup for Ethernal.
Well, it makes sense. Like you saw how quickly Dignitas was able to clear the top lane, while Anubarak didn't want to miss that XP. So they already have to accept that 3 versus 4, they're not going to pop the chest. On Hero League, you see irrational attacks, maybe to try and win 3v4 at the chest and then all die, but not in a competitive environment. So they said, okay, we've got Falstad, we're going to 2-on-1 the bottom lane and split the coins even Steven. And
all in all, looking at the initial talent pickups, it's going to be Celestial Attunement here for Tyrande, which is becoming more popular nowadays over Hunter's Mark. A little bit of buff towards that. So a bit more sustained healing here from Tyrande in this game for the extra support on towards for Kharazim.
Yeah, we had a funny conversation about that yesterday with Team Dignitas. Normally we do sit at Hunter's Mark for more damage, but ADRD said to one of his teammates, he said, I really like Celestial Attunement. And then his ally was like, I don't think it's that good. And he's like, but I really like it. It's really good. And he was like, okay, failed to convince you.
You can't argue with the mad scientist. He is ADRD. He has his way, that's for sure. But
he gets a lot of healing with the overflowing light talent at 13.
Yes, that's so important and so powerful. It really, really ups the ante when it comes to that healing. So they're going to have a lot of sustain in these things. And I think they're kind of even giving a tip of the hat to Navi here. Like, okay, we probably need a lot of sustain. I mean, Protective Shield coming in at level 4 for both of these supports as well. It's certainly very, very powerful.
JPL picking up the Viddles. That's actually how it's pronounced, apparently. English is a weird language. And Venom will grab the camp, will not get interrupted there by Tyrande. In fact, Tyrande has to be the one that's afraid. And that's a certain takedown. Overextended with such a fragile assassin. And that turned around on its heels.
Yeah, not the easiest thing to deal with. They were just kind of overextending to the point where they wanted to check out those camps and really didn't work out at all. Now up towards the top here, Snitch going up against Alex the Pro G. That's not a great solo lane for Kael'thas, admittedly, as Leoric's pretty strong.
Yeah, and if you hear fresh meat,
run away!
You'll be quivering in your boots. I have to say, lore-wise, the Butcher has been captured just excellently by the design team of Blizzard.
Definitely.
I played Diablo 1, and facing the Butcher, you would open that gate, hear fresh meat, and he would come charging after you. It was the scariest thing, man.
I remember it.
I was actually scared.
You would open the door, and then you close the door. It was like, nope.
Exactly. So they captured it really well. He is just pure terror.
And the lane bully in Karazim here going toe-to-toe with Eternal will be able to push him away. Karazim actually has really good solo lane matchups against quite a few heroes. Just, you know, some that really do get away from you, like the Zagaras, etc. They're a bit more difficult.
Yeah, he doesn't have great wave clear, and he doesn't kill you, but he doesn't die either, pretty much.
I was going to get locked down. Oh, there's the Venom. There's the Radiant dash out, but I don't even think it's going to be enough. He's trying to juke and jive.
He's got some more juke potential. One more Q. He's trying to get Butcher closer to him and jump on the minion wave, but will not be able to do that.
I think his little Radiant dashes are on cooldown there. Poor guy.
Yeah.
So it worked out at the beginning, just not later on.
Yeah, and that's the power of the Butcher. We now have 0.8 level lead for Na'Vi, who did manage to pay off, and will get this fort down to 30% life. No mule pickup for Tyrande. It was a possibility, but she has decided to go for battle momentum instead.
Yeah, it's going to help out a little bit with the coupling up of the synergy with level 1 talent that they've got, Celestial Attunement, and then Overflowing Light later on. A bit more healing throughout these games to make it a bit more sustainable.
Quite so. We see the Brutal Strike for Butcher for more burst damage, Urticating Spines for Anubarak, full damage. We've got Seasoned Marksman and Secret Weapon on Falstad. Now, Falstad, when you go for the Power Throw and Secret Weapon, you get 3 critical strikes. With Seasoned Marksman, you generally get 2, but if you position really well and you kind of walk away from your hammer and it arrives back into your hands later, you can get 3 critical strikes off of Secret Weapon. You get some really, really good damage dealt with him.
Here comes JPL, and Shrimpy's already trying to zone somebody out. They were trying to find Snitch. As you can see, JPL ignores our throw completely, going straight towards the Kael'thas, and that is going to be an explosive end there to the Sun Prince. And it's going to have to try and back on out of here. Team Dignitas, they're getting ravaged. Zarmany's going to fall.
Good body block by Alex the Pro-G, and that's another takedown, and a guaranteed 4 takedown, and a level 10 versus 9 lead.
The fact that they got all of those coins as well off of Zarmany at the end there was brilliantly picked up. Now... Well, can you say surrounding? I think I can.
Lights out.
That is a sad little position. But it comes back, you know, having the Web Blast here, it opens up so many possibilities. Not only the burst potential that we were mentioning earlier, but even just little captures like that when level 10 versus 9 is a huge factor.
Yeah. And they had some choices now. They could try to take down a fort, or they could take the boss, or they can bring some normalcy back into this game, defend some lanes here, and maybe get some payoff. Kael'thas got a run here, and Bakery could get taken down. Lamb to the slaughter!
Oh my god, they're actually going for that, and it looks like even just locking him down, Bakery's still somehow alive. I can't believe it!
Wow.
Under the pressure! Whoa!
I feel like some of Eternal's shot on Falstad may have not gone to Bakery. He looked like a sure kill and started spreading damage. May have been a bit of a mistake here. Didn't min-max that engagement.
Oh well. I'm wondering if actually even Furnace Blast would have been better there to actually get a kill, because the charge on and the timing of it was all good, but you've got to, if you're going to target someone like the Monk, you've got to assume that Radiant Dash is off cooldown, so Lamb to the Slaughter against the Monk is kind of probably the better way to go.
Yeah, because even if he dash away, he will just get reeled right back in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for now, it's getting themselves another turn in here. I'm putting on pressure towards the top lane.
Mighty Gust actually was used, so look for this to be used to push away the people that aren't Lamb to the Slaughter or Web Blasted.
Yeah.
Cocooned.
I mean, this might have even been a little bit of inspiration. When I was talking with Eternal before, he was mentioning that these kinds of combinations, what we saw from the Entomb and Mighty Gust from Pirates in Pyjamas was fantastic. It's exactly the same kind of game plan here from this composition.
Cocoon and Mighty Gust, and instead of Envenom, you've got Lamb to the Slaughter, which is very comparable.
This is a nice little comp that we're seeing here from Navi. Really quite strategical, as Dignitas... I mean, they already see it. They know what they're going to be going up against. It's whether or not you can deal with it or not. You've got to spread yourselves out in a fight now. You've got to make sure that not a huge amount of people are being hit by Mighty Gust in those instances.
Yeah, exactly. It's not easy. It's pretty much an instant cast. Butcher turns out to be a great solo PvE'er, getting those siege giant camps over and over. Paying 8 coins will get interrupted. Spell shield will get removed. Could be a good time to fight, except for the fact that they're down to talent. ADRD taking so much damage. Immediately taken down. No Divine Palm from Monk. Bit of a mistake there. Now Johanna is going to get body blocked and Lamb to the slaughter.
Oh, and there is no way you're getting out of there, Johanna. Great pickups from Na'Vi. Wow, they really look so well crafted here in this start of this game. Bakery's going to try and steal away some of these coins, but he's got to get out of there pretty soon. JPL's going to have charge pretty quickly.
At this point, there's no way really that he can. Ethereal Angel there with the Burden trying to provide the way to escape, but it is not enough. Another pick off.
I mean, I could hear Na'Vi just screaming out then after being able to get all of these kills, and they're in a brilliant position. They're going straight to boss against this. It's been scouted out, but is there anything they can do against it? 14 against level 12?
Yeah, it will be suicide to try and attempt to defend this. At some point, you have to accept the sunken costs. You aren't going to get it back. You've got to do what makes most sense, and they're going for a bottom pusher. Get a bit of fortification damage, maybe get level 13 off of this, and then all Hearthstone back to defend that boss.
Yeah.
We'll not get the fort, we'll get some minion waves, and are they actually going to Hearthstone yet? They're going to wait as long as possible.
Arthur was looking for the flank there onto an Ubrak if he was going to stick around for a little bit longer, but he's not. Na'Vi, very, very well executed here so far. Now they're converging, moving down towards the turn, and they're going to get this as well as the boss pushing. They are playing out Blackheart's Bay fabulously.
I would have liked to see Butcher wait a little bit to pay those coins. Maybe first destroy the enemy fort. Look at the position for Team Dignitas. They've got 3 players defending the boss. You get a guaranteed easy takedown on the fort at the bottom, not wasting any cannon shots. These 3 cannons are pretty much given away for free. They would have got that fort, so they're not being as greedy as they possibly could be, and I think that's a bit of a shame for a team that has so confidently been leading.
Yes.
But it's pretty much mincing the luxury position here. They are still very much in the lead. They've got the reins in this match. 3 more cannon shots is going to take down the Moonwell, the tower, and going to get 1 shot on the fort. And they're very close to level 16.
And now this is where we see if Dignitas' composition can rival what we're seeing from Na'Vi. Because as much as Na'Vi's going to hit 16, yes, we're seeing the overflowing light come in at level 13 here means that there is going to be a lot of sustain on a particular target if they need it. But I'm still very scared. If a full 5v5 team fight breaks out, it is Lamb to the slaughter, then into the Mighty Gust. I don't know how you counter it. It's brutal.
It's very brutal. It's got lots of special CCs. 3 special heroic CCs that don't do any damage, but provide a lot of control of the battlefield.
Exactly, it's positioning control overall, just isolating people out and just gunning them down, which, I mean, you said it before with Butcher's kind of design, that's exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Kalaris, a lot of people ask this online in Hero League and in competitive, how do you come back from a deficit? Hold that thought a moment, as there is an engager with Cocoon. Mighty Gust away. They're going to focus on ADRD. Impale misses.
Oh!
Hammer of Justice doesn't. Neither does Divine Palm, but she is completely in the woods by herself and will get taken down. And that should give them an easy way to kill the keep. This time you see them holding on to their coins, not going for the takedown. For the payoff first.
And when somebody gets a guaranteed kill as quickly as that, I mean, it might even be a complete waste of a Divine Palm. That could have been used here, keeping Kale fast alive, but it's not going to happen. He falls down with Lamb to Slaughter being connected with him. Splendor's going to be able to Wraith walk on out of there, and they still get kept alive with Alex the Pro G Wraith walking out of there. Of course, Splendor being able to keep everyone well and truly healthy. They get themselves a keep with almost no congestion whatsoever.
Yeah, a very good point by you. What is the value of a Divine Palm that will save someone who is still in the midst of 4 enemies who can stun her? Probably nothing.
Yeah.
And that led to that Kael'thas kill. So keeping a cool head under very unfavorable circumstances is very, very important.
Yeah.
But excellently played by Na'Vi. Lamb of the Slaughter to the backline and diving right on him. Knowing that they have a 5 versus 4 and a talent advantage, they got the most out of that engagement. Are paying off now. Actually, they got cancelled by Zarmany.
Well, not too bad for them. But at least, I mean, them getting that keep through the middle means that now Na'Vi doesn't really have to pay attention to middle lane at all. They can just easily focus their attention elsewhere, whilst obviously Dignitas is going to have to commit more to that mid lane. They really want level 16. They cannot really take these fights without it at this point.
So this is going to do lots of damage on the top keep, this payoff. There's no real reason for Dignitas to fight. They've already yielded the turn-in point. There are no objectives on their side of the map. The boss is currently not for the taking. So all logical sense says that they should wait till they get level 16 to have an engagement and make that one really count. But they want to be near the enemy when that happens. So they're kind of chasing, but if Natus Vincere turns around, look for them to disengage till they do get that 16.
Yeah, they're in a bit of an odd spot here at the moment. They're taking big damage, and they haven't even got through the cushion of their opponent's forts yet, which really leaves them in a sketchy area. Of course, if they did manage to gain some solidity from there, there's a lot of experience for the picking to be able to catch up, but Navi's just playing fabulously.
Now, to come back to that question I had for you before, how do you come back from a deficit, especially a talent deficit, but also map control, fortification, your down levels? What do you do?
It's playing it slow, playing the objective game, really, trying that on this. I mean, they've got themselves a turn in now. They've already kind of identified that they need to try and play the objective game and almost run circles around their opponents for a while, but with the composition that we're seeing from Na'Vi, it can be difficult. You've got to use Sentinel so well to make sure you know where your opponent's team is at all times.
I feel like maybe sometimes you should not use Sentinel.
You think?
When you use it...
To not give away your position?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, because the only way probably that you're going to win a map like Blackheart Bay, where map control is very important, because it gives most of the coins to the winning team, is to be in a place that they don't expect. That doesn't even make sense. Like, why would you trap us besides our own keep? That kind of thing, you know? So if you're going to set a trap in the middle, how obvious is that, right?
Yeah.
So, like, how about they set a trap somewhere super random? Go stand next to the Siege Giants, as they're trying to do now, and stand in that smoke sphere now. That's what they're trying, but Alex the Pro G is gaining too much information for his team, and he can do so safely due to the utility of Wraithwall.
And this boss attempt has been spotted. They are way too far out of position to really deal with that. Yeah. And the big problem now is that when they take the hard camp towards the bottom, sure, that's nice. They might be able to get this fort down there, but they're going to lose this top keep.
Yep, and once they lose that keep, that will be level 19.7. The additional wave that they can get at the top, or maybe the bottom, or maybe some camps, will get them very close to level 20 indeed. Now, this is a guaranteed keep kill. They could push with it if they wanted to do a level 20 versus 17. And they said, that's just a little bit too much risk for us. We're not 20 yet, and you don't get any bonus points for almost being 20. You don't get a bonus talent progress, so they're just going to go and play the safe game.
Yeah, it's like a catch-22 position. You keep playing PvE, and then you were able to get so many coins, so many turn-ins, guaranteeing that keep up towards the top as it goes down to the boss. And now they're going to be basically on zero keep game almost. I don't think it's going to kill this one because those towers are full health, but still.
Yeah, it's going to do a little bit of keep damage there.
Yeah.
That's the last keep that they have. And now level 20 talents, Na'Vi can feel free to fight. And even if they lose the fight, they still won't lose the game.
No, not at all.
Because there's too much of a buffer in every lane. Like maybe if it's like a 5-0 acing by Dignitas, they can go through the mid keep and finish it off, because death timers are 65 seconds. But nothing but a 5v0 ace will actually win Dignitas the game. They would need 2-3 consecutive winning fights. Yeah. That's a tall order.
Very, very tall indeed. Level 20 now ramping up against them. Very difficult to deal with. We're seeing Redemption, Nexus Frenzy, Blink, double Harden Shield on the side here of Team Na'Vi. As again, we're seeing these small little owls being sent through towards the middle, but it's not really having any impact. There's 9 extra coins that they're turning in.
And there's a big timer on Dignitas, 11 coins away from basically losing the game.
Yeah.
Like that's like 3 cannon shots on the core, which makes it really easy to all in. So not an enviable position. And I must say, Kalaris, I really underestimated maybe the draft or the skill and the playstyle of Natus Vincere with the Butcher play here, with that comp. I really didn't expect it to work out this way.
I think we looked at it a bit more crudely than they did. When we were just thinking about pure damage, they're thinking about strategical positioning, which is so powerful in this instance. Again, I don't know if it's inspired by Pirates in Pyjamas' previous kind of iteration of a similar comp, or the fact that they have just been practicing this before. I mean, I've seen a few teams in Europe do this before, this kind of play, but not to this extent where it looks this powerful that Navi's running it.
Yeah, exactly. This looks like one of those pocket strategies that you prepare in anticipation of what's basically the most important event to date if you're playing career in Heroes of the Storm.
Navi looking good at the moment.
Very polished.
Still, we're trying to see Team Dignitas kind of scramble back in this regard. They're playing it so patiently, but the thing is that you can't on Blackheart's Bay. Having committed all of the map control over to Navi means that, look at this, you're going to get hit.
Yeah, this is, let's see, 8 shots on the core, so it's going to be 40%. They only need to do, if they take the shields off now, that's a win.
Alex Progi, where Wraith walked in there very, very thick, and he's actually just going straight for core. They don't even care about the fight. They whip wrap onto the left-hand side here to be able to lock someone else while they focus the core. They look for the guaranteed win, and oh my god, do they get it in spades. GG. Navi takes game at number 1, and that composition looks menacing, Grubby.
Yeah, it's so cool to see the Butcher play